Hello, my name is Reginald Bullock, and I am the author of Father to Son, A Guide to Growing Up in a Difficult World. This next chapter, homosexuality, is interesting because I wrote it in 1994, full stop. Published it in 2002, but now it's 2021. And back then, there was no such thing as LGBTQ. I hope I got it right. Um, and the mindset, the information, the understanding was different. And I would even say parts of this chapter, had I known then what I know now, I probably would have wrote it a little bit differently. I mean, I still feel the same way I feel, but this chapter is designed for me as a father to have a conversation with my son in case he's interested in talking about, hey, dad, what's a homosexual? Hey, dad, I heard this term homosexual. Hey, dad, one of my friends is a homosexual. Can we talk about it? Sure. Um, I grew up in an environment where it was bad. I mean, I have friends back then that were homosexual. My French teacher was homosexual. I went to Fashion Institute of Technology. But there were some homophobic, I don't even know if it's homophobic. They just hated people. They were just bad people who hated people, and they did bad things to homosexuals. They did bad things to other people too. Um, and so this chapter here is just an opportunity to have a conversation in the absence of none. There are so many families that run away from this subject. So I didn't run away from it. And as a father with a 4-year-old son, I knew one day we're going to have this conversation. And so embrace it. Now in 2021, it's a lot easier to hold a conversation um, because culturally we are now a lot more aware, and we've just learned a lot more, that we just didn't know back then. So this chapter is interesting. I'm not a homosexual, so there's a lot of stuff that I can't necessarily talk about because it takes one to know one, right? I can only talk about what I think and what others tell me, who may have a lot more information on that subject than I do. But I felt it was necessary to put it in the book. So enjoy the chapter.
Chapter 5 Homosexuality. While some may consider this subject highly controversial and would prefer to stay as far from it as they could, I prefer to deal with it straight on. No pun intended. Son, I am not a homosexual. Your grandfather was not a homosexual. Your great-grandfather was not a homosexual. And your great-great-grandfather was not a homosexual, nor was my brother Bernard a homosexual. Based on genetics and other medical DNA criteria, you are not a homosexual either. There are lots of theories on the subject of homosexuality. However, I am not an expert, and I do not know anyone who is. There have been many theories, but most theories are merely justifications for what people have decided to believe. Let me talk about this father's feelings on a few facts. Having served over 12 years in the military in various countries and serving with members of all the other sister services, I firmly believe that homosexual conduct is incompatible with the traditions of the United States military. You can state all the proof from other foreign military services substantiating that homosexual conduct is compatible with their service, and I will call your attention to all the facts that make our country great. If you adopt the other country's way of running their military, then maybe you should adopt their way of life and move. While stationed in Germany, I recall an incident where a young heterosexual man was lured by several homosexuals to a party where they got him very drunk. They tied him up and took turns having anal sex with him. The next day, when he regained his senses and sense of feeling, he had to go to the hospital because his anal skin was split open. Needless to say, he was the talk of the base for that week. Rather than people feeling sorry for him, they made up jokes about him. This was clearly a homosexual incident and rape. In the combat zone, where instincts and split-second decisions can mean the difference between life and death, You do not need to be wondering if the guy you just showered with was aroused while your back was turned. You do not need to be harboring thoughts that the guy who is supposed to be looking out for you is busy looking at you. It is the same as being in a combat zone with women. Your mind has to be focused on the mission, or you may not return alive. I understand that people should be mature and professional. However, I present this analogy for you to ponder. Why do females and males have to take separate showers in the military? Why can't the males just walk into the female shower with the females and act as if there is nothing wrong with it because they are professional and focused on their mission? Why can't the female just walk into the male bathroom and use the toilet because the line in the female bathroom is too long for them to wait? I am sure sexual preference has something to do with it. I would venture to say that for some homosexuals, being in the military most definitely has its rewards. Several homosexual friends of mine have stated their desire to enjoy the fringe benefits of communal showers in the military. They describe it as if they are having one of their fantasies fulfilled legally. They have also talked about the physical teamwork exercise in such erotic terms. The opposite sex would be accused of sexual misconduct for even speaking such tones. The opportunity to view their sexual preference regularly is sort of like putting several monitor cameras in the bathroom or shower of the opposite sex. It is stealthily invading the privacy of another. Now, do not get me wrong and assume that I hate homosexuals. I have come to know many as close friends. It is just that the military is not for everyone. Because you are not supposed to be biased in certain decisions in the military, openly allowing homosexuals in the military would cause serious morale problems. Since that alone would take a full book just to explain, not to mention divulging classified information, which I am not prepared to do, I will leave it at that. Homosexuals are human beings like everyone else. They live, function, and operate just like you and me. Other than their sexual preference, I do not have a problem with homosexuals. One of my favorite teachers from high school was, and still is, and he is also a friend of our family. In many respects, he has helped many young men and women mature into adulthood as productive heterosexual men and women. He has demonstrated as a role model how to stand up as a man and do what men should do. In looking back, he has influenced me in many positive respects. Perhaps it is because he does not mix his sexual desires with his manhood. Perhaps he is more focused on helping others than pursuing others. Perhaps he is just a unique individual who has the type of wisdom that all can benefit from. Perhaps he has just never violated the trust of the people he has come to know. Whatever the reason, he is the way he is. He has always had my mutual respect as a friend. I once attended a fashion design school that seemed to be more than 50% homosexual. My first roommate was what we called a queen. That living arrangement only lasted 3 days. The fashion industry at that time was so gay that you were almost assumed gay until proven straight. I saw students turn gay like it was the plague. If you were in the closet, or the black hole for that matter, your coming out party was just around the corner. As a disc jockey, I saw almost every type of person you thought was not homosexual in rare form when they were on the dance floor. One of my heterosexual or straight friends received a job as a model for Gentleman's Quarterly, GQ magazine, and 3 months later he was unemployed because he refused to engage in homosexual activities. As a matter of fact, I quickly learned that my fashion career was going to be short-lived because of 3 factors. I was black, I did not have lots of money, and I was not gay. Where were all the protesters then? I was discriminated against by the gay community. It seemed that when you tell homosexuals they cannot do something, have something, or be something because of their sexual preference, the world is ready to prosecute you. But when heterosexuals are denied opportunities in a predominantly gay environment like the fashion industry because they are not homosexual, they are shunned. Speaking of shunning groups of people because of their sexual choice, Many people will rely on the rulings of the church to help them understand homosexuals. I know someone who says he is a devout Christian, and he says all homosexuals should have their heads smashed by a sledgehammer. I asked him, why does he say that? He said, because it is unchristian-like. I guess he would be considered homophobic by the gay community. To others, he might be considered a good Christian. You be the judge. Personally, I know some homosexuals who attend and participate in the church regularly. They seem to be just as devoted to their religion as heterosexuals. I have devoted an entire chapter on the subject of religion, so I will not attempt to discuss it here. I will say, however, that everyone has religious rights and God rules everyone. As men, we are quick to judge people against our personal value systems. However, I am reminded that he among us who is without sin should cast the first stone. Although I have my strong feelings toward homosexuals in the military, I am not willing to throw stones. I believe that the United States is morally ready to accept homosexuals as equal United States citizens. Besides, many of our politicians and leaders are homosexuals. However, psychologically, there are individuals who will never be able to accept homosexuals. It is a form of prejudice and discrimination that makes people reject homosexuals. It is the same type of prejudice and discrimination that has continued for centuries, in spite of various amendments made to our United States Constitution. We teach our youth and perpetuate our fears in them. It is like feeding the body, garbage in, garbage out. You are what you eat. As with Black history, we must educate ourselves and our youth on truth, and through truth, we will become knowledgeable of what really happened in the past. Through knowledge, we are able to discover many wonders that have been in front of our faces all the time. We just have to open our eyes. Do not hate homosexuals. They are human beings also. Treat them as human beings. While I have and always will remain strong in my belief that men having sex with men is wrong and women having sex with women is wrong, I understand that affection and love knows no boundaries. When two people love each other, the rest of the world does not matter to them, only the expression of their feelings. In spite of my feelings, many things that I feel are wrong will continue to go on in this world, with or without me. It is just the way it is.